Let's move on to the next disorder category. This category is labeled or referred to as personality disorders. Personality disorders are quite different than the other disorders that we've talked about so far. These are disorders that are differences in one's personality. A personality style rather than a kind of an externalized symptom per se, but rather the way that a personality is presented might be one that has inflexibilities to it. There are pervasive patterns that cause discomfort for the individual, and actually more than causing discomfort for an individual, personality disorders lead to problems for other people in the lives of those diagnosed with personality disorders. They can oftentimes have difficulty maintaining relationships with other people, and they lead to personality styles that are significantly different than the expectations of a culture that one lives in. The way that personality disorders could be divided, in the DSM-4, in the earlier versions of the DSM, they divided them by these three clusters or three categories. The DSM-5 has slightly different types of categorization, but it's not necessary for the level that we're at for the CLEP exam. So we're going to stick to the cluster system. So the first cluster, or cluster A, are those personality disorders that are described as odd or eccentric. Behaviors that are odd or eccentric are the definitions of these subtypes. So, for example, we have a paranoid personality disorder. This is not someone who has psychosis that we spoke about earlier, but someone who has a personality style where they are constantly paranoid about people around them. Can I trust people? Can I trust my spouse? Are they being faithful? Constantly questioning their spouse about their faithfulness. Being paranoid that people at work may be talking about them behind their back. Being paranoid that they may lose money and that the bank may take their money. And so it's this odd style. A schizoid personality is a person who is very odd in the way they interact and communicate to other people. They are socially withdrawn and difficult to relate to and have very odd kind of mannerisms about them. Moving on to the cluster B area, we're talking about people who are very impulsive, dramatic, or erratic in their personality styles. Two types that we'll focus on here. The borderline personality disorder are people who experience a viewing of the world that's black or white, meaning it's either one way or the other, and they're always on this kind of borderline of believing one set of viewpoints or the other. So 1 minute this person may express tremendous love for you and say how amazing you are and how much they adore you and you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then the next day they walk over to you and say how despicable of a person you are and they can't even believe that they're friends with you, and they have this kind of oscillating black and white approach. They can be very dramatic in expressing pain and sadness. Borderline people with borderline personalities can be highly suicidal, or at least dramatically expressing suicidality. Oftentimes it can be to seek attention rather than a genuine desire for suicidality. Again, part of the dramatic and erratic presentation. Antisocial personalities or antisocial personality disorder are people who are not antisocial, meaning we don't like to socialize. That's asocial. Antisocial are people who are against society. They don't follow the rules of society. They don't adhere to the morals and values of society. So these are individuals who are, on the more extreme level, they are your serial killers. People who don't believe that there's anything wrong with killing others. And on a lower level, they may be people who are disregarding the rules, the tax code, and disregarding the rules of being in a relationship, and aren't being faithful in their relationship. As children, they may be very abusive to animals, and show this antisocial, these personality traits when they're younger. And histrionic and narcissistic are people who are very dramatic and expressive in their emotionality. Narcissists believe that they are the greatest things in the world, and have everyone is they desire everyone to know that they are great, and just all of their interactions are tainted by that self-perception. Finally, we turn to the cluster C portion of personality disorders. These are people that have a nervous or fearful or avoidant style about them. We have people with avoidant personality who just avoid interacting with others. They don't want to rock the boat, as it were. People who have a dependent personality disorder are very dependent on others. They are difficult to be with in a relationship because they are very uncomfortable if they're left alone for periods of time. They're very reliant on their partners for pretty much all emotional stability in their life. And finally, the obsessive compulsive personality disorder, or OCPD, are people who don't have the formal OCD that we spoke about earlier, but OCPD is where they are perhaps very oriented towards being neat. I'm very obsessed with my room being organized in a certain way. I don't have a ritual that requires me to repeat something every day to have my room be neat, but my room must be very orderly, and the red books need to be in the red book section, and the blue books, and then any book that's white goes over there, and my drawers are perfectly aligned, and my cookies that I bake have to have 5 chocolate chips and not 6. So this is a personality style rather than really driven by these compulsions and obsessions that we spoke about in a previous submodule. So that about covers it for the personality disorders for the CLEP exam. We'll see you at the next module.